What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 64 of the CHUMPcast. In case you can't tell by the spooky 80s synth music, this is our Stranger Things 2 episode. I've been waiting for 3 weeks to finally talk about this, and I tried really hard not to just word vomit all over the place, so I hope you enjoy that. Since the Green Power Ranger Jason David Frank and Jean Claude Van Damme got into a fight this week, we decided we wanted to talk about other fights between our childhood icons that we would love to see today. We also had a very interesting conversation with Jimmy Yauska, who works on the marketing team for Netflix. We would love it if you shared this show with your friends and maybe convince them to subscribe on iTunes. I will promise personally one hug to any new subscribers. You can also support us by getting any of our merch from thechumpcast.com, or now you can help us out without spending any extra dough by shopping through our Amazon affiliate link. Just go to thechumpcast.com/Amazon and do any of your regular shopping. We get a fraction of the sale. It doesn't cost you anything, doesn't raise the prices, but we get a small percentage of a percentage kickback, which helps keep us on the air. Every penny we keep from Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos delays the inevitable takeover of humanity by artificial intelligence. You'll thank us later. Enjoy the show.
Have you guys ever had Spam?
Yeah.
I've never had Spam.
Low-key is not bad.
I've
Little ham.
heard good things. There's like Spam fests that happen in cities and stuff.
I will say it's not good enough to have a fest about it, but it's not
Dude,
bad.
there's a fest for everything.
I heard if you fry it, it's good.
Isn't that a
baked
Hawaiian
it.
thing?
I baked it, but I put you were supposed to put I guess Coke on the outside, like Coca-Cola on the outside, and just give it a nice little sweet.
Really?
Yeah.
I slow cook pork like that sometimes with root beer.
Exactly. Yeah. Root beer.
Is that like a prisoner's recipe? It sounds like
it's like a sweet. It just gives it a sweet little coating.
Well, the acid breaks down the meat, and obviously the sugar is like a glaze. Yeah.
You ever heard of a honey ham?
I've heard of a honey ham.
Yeah, I don't know where that correlates, but I'm assuming it's around the same guidelines.
Have you heard of it though?
All right, enough with this ham talk. Yeah. Maybe we should talk about some comics or something. I don't know. What do we talk about on this show anymore?
The fuck do you know about comics?
Not much.
Other than that you hate them.
Other than that, we're returning all of them.
Other than the fact that you can't read. Yeah, I gave you Southern Bastards like 6 months ago.
I read the first chapter here and I was like, this is decent. And then I took it home out of courtesy and then I brought it back.
It has everything you love. It's got murder and football and colors.
Yeah, I'm more of a comedy guy.
Yeah, there's some funny stuff in there.
Can you return a comic?
Can I return them?
Yeah, because you said the thing I'm best at with comics is returning them. If you went into a comic book store and you read a comic and were like, I didn't like it, could you technically return it?
I have no
idea.
It
depends on
it would be a real
depends on the
move.
return policy.
That would be a huge dick move.
This is pretty
Here's
trash.
Your $3 back, sir.
Can I get it in quarters, please?
Here's my receipt.
Your comic book guy is going to hop the counter and fist fight you.
Yeah, let's bring it on. A comic book guy and then Mark the bodybuilder. Depends on if he's famished or not, though, because would that make him stronger or weaker?
Weaker.
Mark's softer than a cooked noodle.
My noodles that I cook are usually pretty hard because I don't cook them all the way through. So joke's on you.
Ooh, little al dente.
Motherfucker.
Now you're hungry again, aren't you? You going to start Googling food places?
No.
You want to talk some more ramen? You want to talk some more chunky soup?
No, I'm trying to think of that stupid question that we were going to talk about. I'm looking through.
I'm just trying to get you angry so that you'll fight me.
No.
Because that's the lead into this stupid question.
I'm not the one being deprived of alcohol right now, so.
Yeah,
I've been overly angry for the last 2 weeks.
You have a dark soul.
I readily admit that. It's weird because I would come home from work and have a glass of wine or a beer or something and I'd be like, all right, this isn't that bad. But now I'm just faced with reality and it fucking blows.
Yeah, first thing I said to him when I came in today, I'm like, how bored are you?
So
He's
bored.
Like, no, not bored. I actually been getting stuff done. I'm like,
I have been getting stuff done. How long have I been saying I was going to write something? And I finally did.
Yeah, you did. I will say that when I walked up, you had the door. You were on the door and opened it immediately. I didn't even as I was walking up the stairs. You're like, all right, come on, let's go.
In my defense, you were an hour late.
Yeah, 45 minutes.
Oh, sorry, Mark.
Mark gave us he said, I'll be there at 2 o'clock. And I was
and
like, all right,
you showed up
I'll
at
leave.
3.
I know, I said I'll leave at 2 o'clock because Mark time is very
he was
sporadic.
probably basing it off of my time. But
I literally took the risk. I took a gamble.
This is some good radio right now.
Yeah.
This will devolve into a 3-way fight. So I guess this is good lead into our segment. I'm not sure if everybody saw this news this week, but I thought it was both hilarious and awesome at the same time. I would love to see the video. Jason David Frank, aka the Green Ranger from like 1995, got into an altercation with Jean Claude Van Damme. If 10-year-old me could have actually seen this, I probably just would have died of happiness. My life would have been complete.
I would have been like, cartoons and TV is real. Oh my God. Completely altering my reality.
They better start doing some fucking karate. Jean Claude Van Damme better do the splits.
Or it would have just been a letdown.
Ooh.
Probably.
Negative Nancy.
Because you said one of them just got him in a headlock. I don't know.
Yeah, but since I haven't seen this,
that's some weak shit.
My brain is telling me this was awesome. Unfortunately, there's no video of them going back and forth. There's like a lead up where they're jawing at each other. I guess this goes back to the premiere of the original Power Rangers movie, where Jean Claude Van Damme was at the premiere. I don't know what the fuck happened.
Ain't nothing like that OG Power Ranger beef, dude.
They've had beef for 20 years.
You know what pisses me off more than anything is when a celebrity fight does not happen, especially an organized fight. Let's take, for example, the Chris Brown Tyga situation. And they're talking shit for months, hyping everyone up, saying we're going to do a celebrity boxing match, all this bullshit. And it falls through.
Wasn't
and one
that
of them
Soulja Boy?
Up. Did I say Tyga? Yeah, Soulja Boy.
But
whatever.
Well, Tyga's a lot bigger than Soulja Boy. That's like the difference. Because Soulja Boy's a toothpick.
But that,
let's be real, the walkout music would have been pretty good though.
Wasn't there another?
No, because it probably would have been whatever new single they were pushing.
Exactly, it would have been good.
Wasn't there another celebrity fight like that didn't happen?
I'm sure there have been plenty. I know that Wesley Snipes was supposed to fight Joe Rogan at some point, which would have been hilarious.
It's fucking a bunch of bullshit.
I don't know,
just
man.
To get celebrities are in the media.
95, probably 99% of celebrities are soft. They're not gonna. They're pampered. They're not gonna fucking fight each other.
They're all a little crazy in their own way. Right?
Maybe Mark Wahlberg would go on a racist tirade and beat you with a wrench.
All I'm saying is Green Ranger and JCV, thank you for actually fighting.
Yeah, I would like to see them actually go at it like karate style, because that was their thing. And to hear that Jason David Frank just put him in a headlock.
Or put them in the octagon.
Yeah, so I would go, no, it's got to be a kumite, like Bloodsport.
Or what the fuck you're talking about.
You've never seen Bloodsport?
Yes, I've seen Bloodsport.
That's like a kumite.
Okay.
This got me thinking, what is your childhood fight that you would love to see that would have gotten you super hyped?
I was thinking actually now that I would like a rematch of the original Karate Kid against his rival, like really fight.
They're doing a remake where Cobra Kai is training kids, and I guess they're going to be the good guys now. And it doesn't make any fucking sense. But yeah, so maybe you'll get that.
Maybe I'll get it.
I'm trying to think of that guy's name that played the Karate Kid. I know exactly what you're talking about.
But they're just like drunk in a bar and they're just like kind of talking shit and just shit gets out of control. And
they try to throw a kick and a knee just explodes.
Yeah, they're like 45, 50 at this point.
Easily.
And then, just throwing it down.
Easily. But Mr. Miyagi passed away, unfortunately. Super sad. He'll be watching down from heaven like that Yoda ghost in Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What if he finishes it with the same signature move, though? That would be epic. Kick? Yeah.
I doubt either of them at this age could possibly do that.
That's what makes it even better if that was how to finish it, close it out.
I love shows like that or movies like that. There's no way to get any force behind that kick because you're coming off the ground and just pushing your foot up.
Oh yeah.
But it's the most and of course, when you were a kid, everybody tried to do it, but you would just fall on your ass.
Kia.
Mark, what do you want to see?
Mr. Rogers, let's do old school versus newer, but still old school. So I would say Mr. Rogers versus Steve from Blue's Clues.
Steve from Blue's Clues would get his shit wrecked.
Mr. Rogers don't play.
Mr. Rogers, I think, is about 30 years older than Steve. Steve is like high 40s, I think, currently. And Mr. Rogers is dead, but he died at like 80. But
what's funny about that is that they both have these urban legend histories that aren't true.
Yeah.
Like that Mr. Rogers story you hear about him being a Green Beret apparently isn't true.
If Mr. Rogers is a Green Beret,
that was a story going wrong for a long time. I'm pretty sure that's not true. Maybe Google that. And the other one was Steve from Blue's Clues had like a meth addiction, which I also think was not true, but still hilarious.
Yeah, just to have that visual.
Or I'd want to see Bill Nye and Mr. Rogers.
Okay, perfect. Because mine is Bill Nye versus Steve Urkel. Battle of the Nerds.
Who would win that?
So I've thought more about this than I probably should have. But obviously they would both build these things or try to use science to help themselves. Steve Urkel built a machine that turned him into Stefan Urkel.
Mm-hmm.
And he was smooth and badass. So it has to be Steve Urkel, right? I've never seen Bill Nye turn into somebody cool.
Bill Nye just will like spew facts at you.
And bore you to sleep?
Yeah, but
Steve's a nerd.
Steve would like it. He would eat it up. Maybe he would lose based off of fandom.
He'd push his glasses up and be like, well, actually.
Did I do that?
Yeah, it's bow tie versus suspenders. The match of the century.
That could be a good one.
That sounds like a perfect celebrity death match.
Oh, I wish they'd bring that show back.
Yeah.
What about from a female aspect? Who would you want to see? I think Hilary Duff and Amanda Bynes would be awesome. Lizzie McGuire and
I never really
the Amanda Show.
Yeah.
I saw more. Oh, what about Ren from Even Stevens?
I was about to drop Ren from Even Stevens. She's probably got a vicious side. Which
she had to deal with fucking Shia LaBeouf. Of course she does.
Shia LaBeouf's the man. Shia LaBeouf's hilarious.
He's gone full blown loco.
Yeah,
he's an insane.
That's why
person.
he's the man, because he's insane.
Because he's an actually craziest person.
But you're influenced by your upbringing. You know, Ren Stevens.
She ruined Shia LaBeouf in
had to
real
deal
life.
with fucking Shia LaBeouf.
In RL, she ruined him. Maybe
for the longest time, I wanted a churro machine in my room because of that one episode. The episode where he was so set on getting an icy machine, and he wasn't able to make enough money to get it. And at the end of the episode, he ended up buying a churro machine, which he was actually more happy about.
Churro machine sounds amazing.
Wow. I don't remember any of the specific episodes.
Back to the food references. Of course, Mark remembered that.
Are you hungry, Mark?
I'm a little bit hungry. I'm not gonna lie. Okay. I'm going to Wildfire in T-4 hours, which I'm super pumped about.
Look at you.
I'm going home and playing Star Wars for 10 hours.
Is it that good?
Go to sleep.
Yeah.
I'm just going to sleep until November's over.
Exactly.
Have a drink. Yep. What other matchups you got?
That was kind of it. I'll think of something on the spot. I want to talk about, because I know you brought up like Hey Arnold and Doug. You can make that happen based on just being able to animate it. I want to talk about like actual people.
I think Doug Funny was a huge bitch, and Arnold would have whooped his ass.
Arnold's got a football head.
But Doug would just turn into Quail Man and put a belt on his head, and Arnold would be like, what the fuck are you doing? I'm from New York.
And then he would just give him a wedgie.
Yeah.
And then he'd give his little wow handshake to Gerald. Game over.
I think the better matchup is Gerald versus Skeeter.
That could be good.
Yeah, that would
Gerald was a lot bigger than Arnold, too. Maybe it was just his hair.
Definitely his hair. Was he low-key like a Marge Simpson,
Yeah, she banged Carl. Haven't you seen that picture on the internet?
Yeah. She banged Cleveland. Or
Carl Carlson.
Who's the... Oh, Carl. Yeah, from the
Carl
Simpsons.
Carlson, yeah.
Yeah, and now he's just a street urchin kid from New York. They just dumped him.
All right, what about the battle of the sitcom Macho Man Dads? Tim the Toolman Taylor versus Al Bundy. Who wins?
Al Bundy.
Tim the Toolman. He's always ahead of him. He's got it's a power dynamic. Al's kind of a pussy when it comes to Tim.
No, Al Bundy is married with children.
I think you're about Al Borland.
Not Al Borland, no.
He fucking would.
No, that's close though. I get that. I didn't make that connection, but sure. I think that Tim would try to build some kind of machine that would kill Al Bundy, and it would just blow up in his face because he's like, more power, and it's a chainsaw, and he just cuts himself in half.
Yeah, or you can just actually just grab a wrench and just knock him out.
That's not what Tim Taylor does though.
Yeah,
he's always over the top, more power.
Or he would just go into his cocaine supply and get super coked out and go insane.
I think he would.
Bundy.
I think what he would do is he would summon Wilson, and then we'd find out Wilson's actually just like The Rock or something. He would kick the fuck out of Al Bundy.
Wait, didn't the Toolman Taylor, backtracking to what I just said, didn't he get arrested for a bunch of cocaine?
Yes.
Okay, I was just making sure that was
not
the right
Tim
guy.
The Toolman. No, that was Tim Allen. Tim the Toolman, though. He's got a clean bill of health.
What's the difference?
It's character he plays.
I literally think the character he plays is supposed to be him in real life.
Did you know that Ed O'Neill, the guy who plays Al Bundy, is a jiu-jitsu black belt?
We did not know that. Is that why you brought it up?
Know.
To stump us?
So
no, I just think macho sitcom dads.
Al Bundy doesn't have a black belt though.
He doesn't, but he was a high school football stud.
So he's an athlete over a car guy. So we're giving it over to the athlete over a car guy.
I think you have to.
I would do that. I'd give you that argument.
My other weak as fuck showdown: George Costanza versus Danny Tanner from Full House, just because they're both huge pussies. Like
Danny Tanner. Oh my God, the dad, Danny Tanner.
How do you even convince them that they need to fight?
There's no way, Jerry.
Exactly.
There's no way, Jerry.
I can't get in a fight, Jerry.
This was supposed to be the summer of George.
You love doing that impersonation.
I love doing George Costanza.
There's no winner in that fight.
Worlds are colliding.
What about Minkus versus Arnold from Different Strokes? They're both really small.
I think that again, that's another fight that just doesn't even happen. It's like George versus Danny Tanner. Like they just don't fight because they're both huge pussies.
Oh, okay. Knock him out.
Arnold. Who the hell's Arnold?
What you talking about, Willis?
You don't know?
Oh,
Gary
yeah.
Oldman.
What's his name?
Gary Oldman.
Gary
Oldman. Gary
Oldman, I think.
Gary Oldman's the guy that plays Commissioner Gordon.
Oh.
Gary, the little black.
I know.
Gary
Newman. Coleman.
Gary Coleman.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oldman, Coleman, same thing.
Okay.
Did he die?
I was gonna say, what about him versus?
He died, right? Yeah.
What was that?
Rest in peace.
Him versus the puppet from My Cousin Skeeter. Who would win in that fight?
What is that?
I don't have any idea what that is.
What the fuck is that?
Oh, what the hell?
What channel were you watching?
I might
British
have
PBS?
brutally butchered that.
My Cousin Skeeter.
I think
Skeeter.
You know, like the guy who has like a freaking doll or like a puppet. I can't even think about it.
I don't know what the.
I guarantee I'm gonna look
TV
up
show
and be
you're
like,
watching.
oh, you
Well,
might-
Google it now because otherwise we'll change subjects and 5 minutes later you'll come back in the middle and just blurt out the name of it.
You're absolutely right. Yeah.
About Walker, Texas Ranger versus Steven Seagal.
Steven Seagal with anybody wins.
Over Chuck Norris.
Yes.
Was that the name of it?
I've never seen that show. I don't know
That
what
was the name
hell
of
that
it.
is.
I don't know why I remember the show.
I have no
Somebody
fucking
told me
idea.
about
I
My
don't have
Cousin
any idea what
Skeeter.
that
My
is.
Cousin Skeeter. I don't know what that
You're
is.
just like a puppet. I think it was like a Disney Channel original or some shit.
What about Pokemon versus Real Monsters?
Pokemon. You just get a Charizard and fucking blaze them all and incinerate them all.
Yeah, versus who was it?
Real monsters. They're actually all the Real monsters are pussies, aren't they?
They're scared
For
of
the
their
most
own
part?
shadow. Yeah, they
just
can't even deal with people.
Weird
Like, you
and
just
gross.
throw ash at them. They're like, ooh, can't deal with people. They hide in the gutter in
Yeah.
the shadows.
The only Real monster I liked was the guy that held his eyes in his hands.
Yeah, because he always burped and shit.
Yeah.
He was just disgusting.
I liked
I think I liked the little red guy, Ralph. I think his name was Ralph. I can't even remember.
It's been 20 years since I've seen that show. Great.
How about all the kids from Zoom versus all the kids in Barney? Are those kids too young for the kids in Zoom?
What about like what was
How old were the kids in Zoom?
What
Like
about
10?
the dad from Dinosaurs versus Barney? Dinosaur on dinosaur action.
Dad from Dinosaurs?
You don't remember
with the
Dinosaurs?
baby? With the fat baby that always
Not
like,
the mama.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. I
I'm
remember
the
that one.
baby.
That baby used to scare the shit out of me. I never watched that show.
That show is unwatchable now.
Yeah.
It's all on, I think, Netflix, either Netflix or Hulu. I tried to watch it. It's fucking unbearable.
What was the TV show when you were like in second grade you would go home and watch? After school.
So that was probably Power Rangers.
Really?
Yeah.
DBZ.
Yeah,
In
DBZ
second grade? No.
No, that didn't come
That
over
was like
to the
fifth
States
grade.
until later.
That was like fifth or sixth grade.
Second grade. Okay, yeah. That was definitely fifth and sixth for me. Yeah.
Either that or I would watch old Ghostbusters cartoon reruns.
Were you guys too old for Out of the Box? That was on in the morning.
I have no idea what
Did you watch that?
Out of the box.
Out of the box.
Yeah, we did.
With like the
I
one
think-
Jamaican guy that would play on the box at the end. He's like, and now.
I forget that, but I just remembered a jingle called Out of the Box.
It was great. It was
Nailed
the
it.
Jamaican guy and the Asian lady, and they were my childhood pretty much. But
What I remember is mornings before going to school when the first season of the Pokemon cartoon came
Pokemon, yeah, that was huge.
and my dad would come down every morning getting ready to go to work and be like, this fucking kid. Such a disappointment watching these fucking Japanese
Pokemon
cartoons.
was sweet. Pokemon was
the
sweet.
earliest I ever woke up in my whole schooling career was probably in 4th, 5th grade when Pokemon was on. I'd wake up for like the 5:30 shows in the morning.
I might have said this on the podcast before. You can delete that piece. Will Porter, Il Po, started his own Team Rocket in 3rd grade and got Pokemon cards banned from the entire school because of him. He convinced my friend Brian Malott and this other kid, Trevor Nemi, to run around and steal people's Pokemon cards and bring them all back to him. He would like take out the holographics and give them back to them, and then ran a scheme. He was
What a
actual
monster.
Team Rocket. He
Pokemon
was
cards
Giovanni.
were everything growing up. Did
That's
you
some
collect
kidding.
fucking
Pokemon?
Joseph Stalin shit.
Yeah, so we got just fucked out of Pokemon cards like in the heat of it all.
Did you
Oh
ever
my
play?
Will didn't even get caught. It was Brian Malott who got caught, clumsy.
Did you ever play Pokemon or did you just collect?
I just collected.
I
And
would
then used the
always try
game.
to get people to play with me and they were like, nah. I played maybe 2 games in the entire time that it was popular.
Yeah.
And everything else was just collecting them.
I remember some bad instances where I traded a card and completely regretted it right away. I remember one specific time I traded my Venusaur, which was in the first pack I even bought. And I traded it for a Gyarados, which is like in the starter boxes, you know?
Oh, pwned.
And I didn't know. And my friends were like, why would you do that? And I freaked out and made the guy trade me it back.
Mark still loses sleep over that to this
Still
day.
lose sleep.
Buyer's regret. Yeah, classic.
Almost traded a Venusaur for a Gyarados.
Speaking of horrible people, let's get into our best man alive of the week.
Why horrible people if they're the best man alive?
Because usually we just end up doing bad people because there aren't very many good people left anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
Mark, what do you got for me?
This is old since we're talking about it 3-ish weeks later, but since we are talking Stranger Things this episode, I'm going to give it to Will. His performance in this season 2 was outstanding.
So you're talking about Noah Schnapp.
Yes, Noah Schnapp.
Snap.
Will Byers.
Will Byers. And even though we didn't see him in season 1, you have to remember that's the whole storyline and the setup for Stranger Things in general. Wouldn't have happened without this kid. And the way he just blew his performance out of the water as Will in season 2, I was in shock, and I got to give it up to that kid because
he gets the short end of the stick too because he's always in a coma or something.
Oh, I want to talk about that later.
All right.
When we talk about
Stranger Things.
No, when we talk about what do you want to see in season 3, I basically just want Will to stop going through so much psychological pain. I want someone else to experience it.
I think you're going to stop seeing that, but we'll see. My best man alive of the week is Jalen Ramsey. If you watch football, you saw last week he got into it with AJ Green. Dude is still talking shit. So I'm going to play this quick clip of him just talking about what a bitch AJ Green is, which is ridiculous because AJ Green is one of the best receivers in the NFL. But
do it. Doesn't matter.
I told him almost every play that he was weak, that he was soft, that demonstrate facts. He just couldn't handle the truth. It was facts. Told him that his time almost up. Told him that it was easy, which it was. He had 1 catch for 6 yards. I was just out there spitting facts to him. I mean, I pushed him every single play. We can go back and look at the film. I pushed him every single play. I told him to stop putting his hand on me on this run play. Don't even put your hand on me. So he put his hand on me. I pushed him again. He just fell because he weak. I mean,
it goes on like that for a while. But Jalen Ramsey's a stud. He's the Jags defense is unreal. It's really unfortunate they don't have a quarterback, but. And the other one I wanted to mention is Rose Namajunas from last week's title fight.
Yeah.
She starched.
You were pretty confident she was going to get worked in that
She
fight.
was plus 600 in Vegas. So everybody was confident. You just can't predict those things. I mean, it wasn't close.
Yeah.
She just
beat the shit out of her.
She beat the brakes off her. It was awesome to see. And she has an 11 haircut.
Those
ties in with Stranger Things.
I didn't get to watch it live, but those were some great fights from the recaps I was seeing. All the fights.
3 title changes in one night. The Dillashaw Garbrandt fight.
That was awesome.
Your boy lost.
I know, but still, that was a great fight.
It was a good fight. Those are my good ones. I'm trying to be positive because usually I'm like, this person fucking sucks. So 2 positive ones this week.
I want to give it up to Tom Hanks just because there's a funny meme going around saying another actress steps forward accusing Tom Hanks of being nice. Just a picture of Tom Hanks. Look at the news article. And that just like rings true about Tom Hanks. I better not hear anything.
That's the thing. You just jinxed him.
I love
It's
Tom
going to come
Hanks.
out that he's
the
got like a child pedophile ring.
TBS is going to start playing
that.
Castaway every week now.
Yeah, because he's the only one that hasn't been accused of something horrendous.
There was a stretch where I think it was probably TNT, not TBS, but they played Castaway every other day for a couple months.
Well,
which I didn't mind.
They keep getting ratings.
Do you like that movie?
Have made fire. I
feel like you did
have
like
made
that
fire.
movie. Castaway?
It's fine.
Yeah, it was all right.
I liked it.
Yeah.
That was like prime Tom Hanks.
It was.
Prime of his career around Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
Catch Me If You Can.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Quietly great Tom Hanks movie. People forget about him. They think about Leonardo right away when you talk about that movie.
All right. Let's get on to the news. I'm going to keep it short this week because I feel though we're going to run long with an interview we have coming up and then Stranger Things. I almost went Westworld level of depth on Stranger Things, and that's bad.
Yeah, that was...
like putting on my tinfoil hat, coming up with conspiracy theories bad.
When we had that episode and we were talking Westworld, you just...
2 episodes. That was 2 separate episodes.
I remember sitting here No offense to you. I was getting really sleepy because you were just ranting on for
Had a
an
lot to
hour
say.
plus.
That was before I was ever on the show, and I was actually a listener.
I'm pretty sure that those aren't even posted anymore. I took them down because I was like, this is embarrassing. It's embarrassing how much I analyze this show.
No, it was good. It was good. I just definitely put it on the fastest speed I could ever listen to it on.
Great. So news this week. All of this is surrounding Disney, who's had just kind of a weird banner week. Earlier, a rumor came out that they were in talks to buy 20th Century Fox, which is Fox's sort of movie and television branch. It's Zeke Ellioted back and forth. Like, yes, they're going to do it. No, they're not. Yes, they are. No, they're not. Nice. Now it's back on. Yes, they are for the time being. But the implication here is that Marvel basically would get, the implication I care about.
The implication.
Marvel would get back X-Men and Fantastic Four and all the characters that go with it. And they would have to somehow mix that in with the Avengers universe. But I worry that you wouldn't get any more movies like Deadpool.
Yeah.
Because it's Disney. I don't know. Maybe they would let them operate independently, but that's not the brand that they're going for.
But the more they buy, the more they're willing to branch out, I feel. Because you can't.
Yes and no. I don't know. Obviously, it's all speculation. I have no fucking idea what they would do, but they're sitting on a pile of cash. They might as well just do it.
If something's successful, they're not going to be like, actually, let's change this completely to make it more PG. Nope.
Well, I can't stand to watch Fox butcher another Fantastic Four movie. So,
well, I think the Fantastic Four is kind of just a stupid group of people.
It's not. You think that because the movies that they've made have been terrible.
They've been lame and bad.
Yeah, because that's all you know of them. But they're good characters with good stories.
Well, good.
I think Fantastic Four might be one of the only movies that has ever been produced where nobody thought it was good. You always get those couple people that are like, I didn't mind it. It was okay. I've never heard from one person.
Never heard a good word about it.
Universal snooze.
I watch it when it's on FX. No, you don't.
No, you immediately change the channel.
FX has the movies. They don't have that shitty movie.
FX has the movies.
FX has the movies.
All right, more Disney news. They've also announced that the director of The Last Jedi, Rian Johnson, is developing a new trilogy that will not focus on the Skywalker characters. So none of the characters we have now is going to be a totally different character set, probably starting around 2020. I mean, that's kind of big news. They're investing pretty heavily in this guy, which means that either they like his prospects, they like his pitch, or they really like The Last Jedi because they're throwing a shitload of confidence in this guy.
Sounds like a win-some and you win-some situation for you Star Wars fans out there.
And I guess we're also going to get a live-action TV series for Star Wars when they launch their streaming service in 2019.
Interesting.
Last bit of Disney news. They have announced that a new Marvel TV series a la Netflix is going to be exclusively showing on their streaming service. So they're really going to dump a shitload of money into this. They bought a company that does compression and streaming specifically so that they could develop their own service.
Wow.
So we talked to Jimmy at Netflix about this earlier this week, which we'll cut that interview in later. But it's interesting, and I don't know what's going to happen, but they're going to basically become their own content producer and provider instead of counting on other services.
That's a lot.
So
they're getting enough stuff where that can be a legit.
I'm sure they're going to have no problems doing it. I just want to see how it pans out in the end, you know?
They got the money, like I said. Yeah. That's all the news I got for this week. I wanted to keep it short. We mentioned Jimmy, and at this point, do you want to give a little intro?
Yeah. So I thought it would be perfect to actually, I don't know why I didn't think of this before, because we've talked plenty of Netflix series in the past on this podcast. But so my cousin, Jimmy Auska, actually works for the marketing team at Netflix.
Jimmy Auska went to the same high school as me. I know Jimmy Auska.
We discovered that in the interview.
Hilarious. Jimmy.
And he brought that up. And I completely forgot you went to Buffalo Grove, right?
Yeah.
I completely forgot you guys went to the same high
like
school.
You're older than me.
Which
Hilarious.
Is quietly hilarious. But yeah, so we had Jimmy on Brick, and he had some interesting things to say.
We got some insight on how they market things and what they're looking to do going forward. So take a listen. Jimmy, I want to thank you for joining us. Obviously, there's a little bit of nepotism here. You probably would have had an awkward Christmas dinner if you hadn't agreed to come on and talk to us. But nevertheless, we appreciate you being here.
Actually, let me chime in real quick. We're actually, for the first year, not having our family Christmas due to my wedding. So I ruined Christmas.
Yeah.
But we're going to do a white elephant gift at the reception. So it's all good.
We'll all be there, so maybe we'll do a follow-up interview once we're all plastered at Mark's wedding.
Can't wait.
All right, Jimmy, so why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do for Netflix and how you got to be where you are today?
Cool. Yeah. So I work in a marketing function at Netflix, and primarily our job is to get people excited about upcoming titles that are coming to the service, both engaging current members, trying to get them to watch new titles, convincing new members around the world to sign up and pay us $10 a month for Netflix.
Are you more targeted on specific titles, or is it just a general marketing of the service?
It's primarily around titles. We're trying to build title brands. It seems to be we create a more enjoyable service if you can talk with your friends about Narcos or Orange is the New Black or Stranger Things, and that stuff is more fun if we help push you in the right direction of which title should you be watching.
So is that a social media targeting, or is it general advertising, billboards, bus stops, etc.?
Or is it the function at the top of the actual Netflix screen when you're done watching a show that says, check out this show?
It's mostly stuff we have to pay for. So that's, Facebook and YouTube are huge properties that allow you to run video ads. And we really think, showing our content is the way to get people excited about it. So billboards are great. We'll buy some of that. We'll buy some TV commercials, some radio ads. But for the most part, we want a digital environment because that's really how you're going to consume Netflix at the end of the day.
I will mention the billboards. I was just in New York City a few weeks ago. Probably one of the coolest billboards I've seen in my lifetime was the Stranger Things 2 billboard that you guys put up. I think it was right around like Soho area, but it literally had the bikes. And I think it was more designated for a nighttime point of view because it had the Stranger Things neon sign lit up, the Stranger Things red lettering. But it was pretty freaking sweet. It looked like you guys probably put a good amount of money into that.
Yeah, it's great. We can go all out for a handful of titles. I saw there was some stuff in LA with like a flipped over van, kind of call back to season 1.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool.
All right, since we're talking Stranger Things, I got to know, what's your take on episode 7 of season 2?
Is that Chicago?
Yes. And it seems to be the most polarizing episode of television that has ever existed.
I don't know what season 3 is going to look like, but if that is setting up for some sort of showdown, I'm excited about it. But just in a silo for season 2, I thought it was a throwaway episode.
All right, there you go. Hot takes.
Where did you guys land on that?
The first thing I noticed was Kai Green was one of your actors in that episode. Kai Green was obviously the huge black guy. He's actually one of the most popular bodybuilders, I would say, of the time right now. And he was runner up in Olympia as well for like 4 years in a row, but then dropped out and obviously is pursuing acting and things of that nature. But that was the first thing I noticed him in this episode. And I was kind of blown away that they threw him into a Stranger Things episode. He's been around acting a little bit. He does a lot of voiceovers for ESPN actually, but I didn't think he'd get a gig like a Netflix episode. Overall, the episode was a big change of pace. I don't know how I felt about it.
Being a native Chicago guy, though, I thought it was pretty funny that the Sears Tower and that Diamond Building are in the backdrop of every single shot.
Yeah, I was like triangulating, trying to figure out exactly where they were.
They're in the middle of Lake Michigan.
Yeah. If you were to ask, I guess the only thing I would need to say is that I'm currently writing an article for glitchup.com about my defense of that episode. So, enough said.
Your defense, so you liked it?
It's definitely not the best, but I think that it's getting way too much hate.
It sucked.
I like that there are more people out there like 11. And
exactly.
I needed more 11 in season 2. So even though I didn't care for the episode, if that got me more 11, I was in.
Look, if I keep going on this, I'll go for hours. So I'll just shut up about it. Jimmy is working for a Silicon Valley. I guess you can't call them a startup anymore, but they're a giant tech firm now. Is it as great as it sounds and the way that everyone makes it seem, or do you treat it as a typical office gig?
There are days it is just a job, but for the most part, I think there are perks that come with Silicon Valley and trying to compete with people in technology. It really does make it an awesome place to work. And I think that's mostly because they keep me like full of food all day. Breakfast burritos every morning, lunch every day, snacks throughout. And, I think there's articles all over the place about unlimited time off, which is probably pros and cons, but I really have the freedom to, to leave work whenever I want. Don't have to tell anyone, don't have to keep track of anything. And it's pretty great.
Speaking of food, I love food. So is there a specific restaurant or fast food place that you guys pick up from a lot? And do you guys just like leave it in the lobby and it's just a free for all and you just grab whatever? Or?
Netflix, they have a culture of trying to, scientifically test different experiences. And right now we have 2 catering companies pitted against each other in multiple buildings. So
capitalism.
I think we're trying to exactly. So they mix it up. Occasionally we'll get sushi, but it's just like standard American food for the most part.
So I have to ask, unlimited vacation, what's the longest time that you've taken away from your job?
Me, not so much. I'll go a week or 2 off. Occasionally we joke though, you can take up to a year if you have a kid. You have a bad week, and I'm thinking maybe my wife and I could push things along, get me some vacations. We'll see how that goes. I've seen people with new kids. It's great that they have the freedom to take the time, but they'll take 9 months, and the company's just completely changed. 6 months down the line, so they come back to a completely new job.
Yeah,
I know you have a dog, Jimmy. Like myself, can you bring the dog to the office if you want?
I can.
Damn, that's one thing I'm pissed about for my job is I can't bring Moose in.
Reed, our CEO, sent an email about if your dog is a distraction, don't bring him in. Or, I'm seeing too many dogs in the cafeteria, but for the most part, you can bring your dog in if it's well behaved.
So Moose had to stay home anyways.
Moose, you're staying home.
I think both of my dogs have pooped in a Netflix building.
Can you put that on a resume?
There's different themes to each floor, right?
Yeah, I'm on the theme of my floor is Antarctica or something. So all the rooms are named after winterish movies, Snow Dogs,
Fargo.
Fargo, yeah. Although that's probably America.
Obviously, there are a few perks that everybody knows about. Is there anything else, as far as going to movie premieres, meeting some of the actors or writers or producers or anything like that you get to do on a regular basis?
People with cooler jobs than I get a lot of that. Up in Silicon Valley, there's not as much interaction with celebrities. We have an office in Hollywood, and it's really, our fastest growing office. And talent's in there all the time. So I've seen Aaron Rodgers in there, John Legend, Nick Kroll. So some of these big comedians with shows coming up are in the office, and they're in and out all the time. And it's just cool. But I have to pretend like it's not a big deal. I have to pretend like, I just work at a content company, and every typical day.
Well, you did just refer to them as the talent, so
they are.
All right. So who do I get to blame for this 4/10 Adam Sandler movie deal?
You can blame the content preferences of the people in Latin America.
Really?
They love Adam Sandler movies. There's not everything Netflix produces needs to be great for everyone. That's kind of their mantra, but it's great family viewing for teenagers. I think we were spoiled. We grew up with Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore, and that's the Adam Sandler we expect. And maybe some of these newer Adam Sandler movies are that for the next generation.
Obviously that's tongue in cheek, and I read a couple articles about the millions of views that these Adam Sandler movies get. So I get it, and that kind of leads me into my next question. Netflix is notoriously secretive about their ratings. Is there a strategic reason for that, or is it just kind of, we don't need to tell you, so we're not going to?
I think it's primarily for the creators of the show, that they don't need to cater what they're producing to, fit the mass audiences. Produce a piece of artwork that can stand on its own, and will find the right audience for you. Whether that's today or in 3 years. And I think a lot of the sentiment is just, we don't need to hold ourselves to the number of people that watch it today or in a year, like Nielsen wants to rate it on. Some of this stuff can live forever, and it doesn't need to be what it needs to hit a specific demo today.
That's an interesting point that you bring up, Nielsen, because I saw that they tried to rate how many views Stranger Things got in their opening weekend. The list of caveats looked like a CVS receipt. It was a mile long. Like, this only counts on televisions viewed with this cable box that run through smart TVs. So it's ridiculous. They're really grasping at straws. So yeah, I understand the content producer angle for it, but man, that really is strategically black box.
It just bugs people. I if nothing else, if we could do it just to bug people, I would do it. But, Nielsen is trying to figure it out, and lots of people are trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
It is a competitive advantage, if you're trying to negotiate the cost of content, try to equate it down to the number of people who are going to watch something.
Mhm.
So if you're negotiating against ABC or HBO, being able to hide that information would give you an upper hand. So there is some strategic benefit there, but I think it's primarily around just letting the creators do what they want to do rather than catering to a mass audience.
Sure. So speaking of creators working for Netflix apparently is budgeting $8 billion for original content next year, pushing for a 50-50 split of Netflix produced and licensed material. Is the plan for this to get out of licensing and just become a full-on production company with streaming rights, or is licensing always going to be in the picture?
I think if the TV networks will continue to let us license, there will be TV shows we would love to license and have on Netflix till the end of time. You're noticing a trend in the market where CBS is trying to do its own streaming service. Obviously, NBC Universal has a stake in Hulu. Disney has its own motivation, so does HBO, where if we can find content to license, our members enjoy it. I know personally, I watch The Office or 30 Rock, things like that whenever I can. But
I have to mention this because you said 30 Rock. Drunk Erica is the biggest 30 Rock fan you'll ever meet. And when that came off Netflix and went to Hulu, she had a breakdown.
It was a bad choice of words by me. I felt the same way. I squeezed in one more run through of the whole season or the whole run. But we are trying to produce original content because some networks won't produce it. And we think there is Netflix can be a environment for that. But it also gives us more flexibility into the type of content that gets produced, not just in the US, but also internationally. Mm-hmm. International is where our biggest growth are, and some of their content preferences are different. But it's just more flexibility long-term about what to do with that content.
Yeah, and eventually, once literally everyone has a Netflix account, you got to turn into a production company. Otherwise, you just can't grow anymore.
I think that's right.
Part of this budget is going towards these, I guess you can call them blockbuster movies like Bright. I saw that's got an estimated $90 million budget. You've got Will Smith as getting lead billing on it, with Joel Edgerton, David Ayer producing or directing. That's a big step in a very specific direction to take on the Paramounts and the Sonys and the Disneys. I mean, is this going to be the direction in which Netflix travels now, or is it still going to be sort of the Blumhouse where they focus on lower budget, high upside works?
They'll probably try to get into blockbuster movies as much as they can. There is sort of, a cost element associated with that, like you said, Bright is a big budget. It can only be 2 hours long. So with all the decisions of how Netflix could spend its money, does 2 hours worth of content, is that the same, or should we make 3 more seasons of Daredevil, et cetera, or whatever that cost equation works out to be? Yeah, we want to be the service that does something for everyone. And I personally enjoy watching movies on demand or on Netflix more than going to the theaters. And in the middle of winter, in a big city, it's hard to get to the theaters. Mm-hmm. So when Bright comes out around Christmas, we honestly expect half of America to watch it and watch it with their family and friends. And I think that'll be really cool and a unique experience that there's nothing about having to buy tickets or wait in line or, sit in the front row. Everyone in America in that first week, for all intents and purposes, can watch that movie and probably will be talking about it.
Yeah, I'm very excited. Is there anything else in that same vein that we might not have heard about yet?
I think this is out in the news, but Martin Scorsese, Marty, for the people in the biz,
of course, the talent.
He's working on something with Robert De Niro and Al Pacino, like a gangster movie. I think it's about I think the working title is The Irishman, about a hitman who killed Jimmy Hoffa. Probably still a year away in production, but anytime you get Martin Scorsese's name attached to something, doing what he does best, gangster movies, I'm sure that'll be a big hit when that comes around.
I'm just looking at the Bright soundtrack right now. Just for this fact, I agree half of America is going to watch it, because you guys have Migos on the soundtrack. You have Lil Uzi Vert. Come on, man. You have Steve Aoki, A$AP Rocky, Future. Just for that reason right there, I'm sold.
Yeah, and I don't know how the music licensing goes, but you'll start to see Netflix branching out into a little bit of different things. So, here's a soundtrack. You'll probably see some, Stranger Things dolls being sold, and there's a comic book that, Netflix is a part of that is a different form of media that we're just allowing a creator to produce.
I was actually, that was my next question. Obviously, Netflix recently bought Miller World, Mark Miller's, universe that includes Wanted and Kingsman, etc. Obviously, those are licensed out on their own. But in that same vein, I see now that Netflix is putting out a comic book series, and the first announcement has been a 6-issue miniseries. I think it's safe to presume eventually that they'll do actual TV shows or movies, correct?
I think Netflix is in a point of view that whatever Mark Miller is working on, we want to be a part of. If he wants to produce something that it works well on TV, we'll certainly produce it if it's a video or a movie. But if he wants to make a comic book, or that's how he needs to do his train of thought, we're going to let him. You'll see more and more stories out there in the news about Netflix being great for these people who just want to produce. And I think that's just another example of it. If he wants to make a comic book, let's go for it.
That's awesome. So in the terms of branching out, do you think anytime in the near future we're going to see a Netflix movie in an actual movie theater?
Occasionally we'll go to movie theaters. It is it's sort of an ongoing debate, but the typical movie release schedule is on-demand services can't show a movie after theaters until 90 days. And we're not really in the business of denying our customers access to content. There could be some, special use case that this movie would be awesome shot in IMAX, but I think, more and more with the 4K offerings and people's home theater systems being so good, that experience is just as good in home, and people don't have to wait or shell out $15, on top of the Netflix service for, $8-10.
Speaking of that, me and Ryan just purchased, I'm not sure if you're aware, they came out with this movie pass, Jimmy, where it's $10 a month and you can technically see unlimited movies in the movie theaters. It's shown value, wouldn't you say so far, Ryan? We watch movies almost every week, obviously for the podcast, because that's the majority of what we do is review movies. And yeah, movies right now are like $15. So it does kind of pay for itself.
If you see one movie a month with your movie pass, it's paid for itself.
That's awesome. I think for movie buffs, that's a great move. I think Netflix is in that same vein. You're just trying to get people access to content as quickly or as easily as they want it. But I'm all for, something like that.
All right. Next question. Can you do us a favor and put Comcast out of business?
I'm trying. Unfortunately, they're just such a behemoth that we can coexist and it'll be fine. I think you're going to start to see that the response is everyone is moving towards these skinny bundles that I don't want to pay for 120 Comcast channels, but maybe it still makes sense for me to buy live sports, and they'll move in that direction and pay for Netflix, pay for HBO Go, and pay for a skinny bundle and save yourself $50 a month. That's
actually an interesting point. Amazon, you see, is now licensing some baseball and football games. And I don't know if you can even speak to this, but is anything live possible in the future for Netflix?
I think it's certainly possible. It's not something that we are taking seriously, I don't think, at this time. The infrastructure is there. The licensing rights are really long and really expensive. Amazon has a ton of cash. I think it's a cool idea for them. But I think for the Netflix business, it doesn't make sense, at least today.
Okay.
Jimmy, we just had Halloween. Is it a big scene at the Netflix offices?
There were a couple people dressed up. I walked into a really important meeting at 9 a.m. and there were 40 people in there, one woman in a Wonder Woman costume, everyone else in business clothes.
Yeah, see, I mean, you're in marketing. Shouldn't you be dressed up as like the Demigorgon or something?
I'm taking cues from, Jim from The Office. I'll put 3-hole punch Jim going. I got work to do. We got big things to accomplish.
What is your favorite Netflix series so far, or movie?
I think it might be Narcos. I don't know if you guys watched that.
I do.
Season 1 and season 2 were awesome around Pablo. And then I was worried what was going to happen with season 3. And I think I might have even liked it even more.
Really?
They switched to a new cartel and it was awesome.
I haven't gotten there yet. I'm mid-season 2, but I am enjoying it. So you're making me look forward to season 3 even more now.
Anything you guys really like on the service?
I mean, I just told you that I'm writing an article about a Stranger Things episode. So I think, yeah, I've honestly had Netflix since it was just a service that sent you DVDs, and I've never been without it. And I honestly don't think I ever will not have Netflix again.
Awesome.
So I was looking at your list of the series that you've watched so far, the Netflix original series that you've seen. And you mentioned you saw Santa Clarita Diet, which we actually did a podcast on one week. What did you think of that? Because that is for a certain type of viewer, I would say.
I loved it. It was, overly violent, and I found it hilarious. I don't know what it was about it. And I don't even really like Drew Barrymore or Timothy Olyphant all that much, but I thought they were hilarious in it.
Yeah, they were pretty great. It was super over the top. I actually didn't mind Timothy Olyphant.
It's serviceable. Mark, you mentioned it's not aimed at you and I. Jimmy, I'm going to give you a chance now because we kind of ran through our questions. Anything you want to plug or talk about?
I really think in February, this new show coming out, Altered Carbon, which is like sci-fi. It's a popular sci-fi book about like when you can download a human's like brain onto a hard drive and you can get replaceable skins.
Oh, the singularity.
Bodies. It's going to be awesome. I watched the first episode last night. It comes out in February.
I'm pissed that you get to see this stuff before we do, but I get it.
Yeah, I'm like, wait, you watched this already? And it's coming out in February? Are you shitting me? And then I realized you work there. So,
yeah, you mentioned this in an email, and I took a look at the IMDb. I was looking for a trailer. I can't even find that. So we're way behind the curve on that. And obviously, I'm not going to sit down and read a book about it because the TV show's on it. Yeah, so that sounds exciting. So future AI type singularity deal. That's pretty dope.
Yeah, I don't know. It had a weird mix of kind of had a Kingsman vibe to me, but I think it's just gonna be like really awesome. I'm not even normally into sci-fi, and I'm totally hooked. I'm bummed they only had season 1 or the episode 1 out for me to view, and it's gonna be awesome.
Is that a regular thing? Are you always getting pre-screenings of things like that?
Occasionally when a new title's coming out, we have to figure out how to market it. I see it really early, and so when Stranger Things season 1 was coming out, you can see it really early, but with none of the CGI or if some of the soundtracks aren't complete yet, it really takes away from it. So we're watching the Demigorgon, but it's just, green screen or insert CGI image here type stuff.
Do you guys need like a janitor or something? Do your janitors get pre-screenings?
I think that they treat the janitors well. My guy, Jorge.
All right. I think that's probably going to wrap it up. We really appreciate your time. I'm going to ask you one last question, then immediately hang up. What's your Netflix password?
Ooh-wee.
All right. I think I'm probably going to have to cut that, but...
We really appreciate it. Thank you for coming on. I'm sorry for ruining family Christmas, but I'll see your ass at the wedding.
I wasn't going to be in Chicago anyway, so I got a free pass. Excited for your guys' wedding. I will be there.
Thanks again, man. We really appreciate having you on.
Cool. Take care, guys.
All right. So that was our interview with Jimmy. Thanks again to him. And sorry to break it to you, but you are now officially our Netflix insider. So we're going to be bugging the shit out of you, Jimmy.
Yes, we will be, Jimmy.
And I'll be there next time, Jimmy. They didn't realize that we were friends from high school.
He said you were more of an acquaintance.
Exactly.
He did kind of mention that.
Netflix is the perfect segue into something that I've been waiting to talk about for almost 3 weeks now. Season 2 of Stranger Things.
I binged it for the first day and I just was like, peace.
I don't think there's any reason to not spoil this. For me, this is a 9.5 out of 10. This is the best thing on TV this year.
Yes, by far.
I think we just give our ratings and then we start fucking talking about it because there's no point of talking about this without spoiling it.
Agreed. My rating, I'm going to give it a 9.
I'm going to give it a 9.6.
Just to outdo me?
Just to outdo you.
You're a real piece of shit, Mark. So we talked about the best way to discuss this, and I think just going through the character list and kind of talking about the stories and their interactions with others, probably the best way to do it.
And then we could actually do that without many spoilers, but
we're spoiling it.
Yeah, it's just not as much fun. And then we had to double back.
Yeah, let's not double back. Let's just go smooth.
If you haven't seen this, go see it.
It's super good.
Inexcusable to not have seen this by now. I digress. So let's start with the characters that are returning from season 1. My personal favorite, I think, Jim Hopper, played by David Harbour. Just the balls on this dude. In season 1, he goes into this dark lab that he knows nothing about, all by himself. Just a complete badass. And this season, he's harboring, an international fugitive from the CIA. And she's a preteen girl who has anger issues, and he just screams at her. This guy is just not scared of anything.
He's a perfect, dad mentor kind of
he's
guy.
very daddish.
He pulls that role off perfectly.
Well,
he cares, but also he's like doing his duty.
He's like that guy at the football games where you're just like, that guy's my dad.
It's weird though, because in season 1 they show him with a pill addiction and drinking all the time, and they didn't really do that this season.
Because maybe
he
found his little purpose.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's got his daughter that died of cancer, and his wife left him. So yeah, maybe this is purpose for him.
That's how you develop characters. Boom. My favorite character was Steve. He did get pwned by Billy a bunch of times for physical things. Mentally, him and Dustin, I like that dynamic that they had. I thought that was very cool. The Stand By Me moment where they're all just like walking through the train tracks.
So Steve is played by a guy named Joe Keery. I think his transformation has been great.
Yeah.
The only reason that Billy beat his ass because he hit him with a plate.
True.
Because Steve was kicking his ass before that.
Steve's dope too. He's the man.
Steve's the man. But this is like how you write a character transformation. This is what Manchester by the Sea should have been.
Yeah.
Instead of just being the same fucking person. You see him start to change a little bit at the end of season 1 when he's, got the bat and he's trying to help out Jonathan and Nancy. He's a little bit more sympathetic.
He's not just the douchebag jock you had originally thought he was.
Right, that's Billy now.
Yeah.
But yeah, and the way that he takes over as a babysitter / father figure to Dustin, we don't know where Dustin's father is.
Older brother, it seems like.
We don't hear any mention of Dustin's dad.
Zero, yeah.
So let's talk Dustin. Gaten Matarazzo. I can never say that. He and Lucas really came more to the forefront this season because they pushed Mike Finn Wolfhard out of the spotlight, which is good because Mike was a little bitch this season. But I like their dynamic, and Lucas is still kind of the same person he was last season, where he's the pragmatic one. He thinks things through and tries not to get everybody into danger and shit. He's yelling at Dustin for keeping the fucking Demigorgon.
I was so frustrated about that when he still wanted it to be his friend, and I'm like, look that thing in the face. Why the hell are you trying to make friends?
It doesn't have a face. It just has a gaping jaw that opens and eats your cat.
It's obviously evil. I was getting so frustrated. I'm like, kill it. Just kill it. How
funny was it when Steve was like, maybe it's just a lizard. Yeah. And Dustin's like, it ate my cat.
If it was a dog, I don't think he would have liked that lizard very much. But it was a cat. So it was just like, who cares?
Yeah, pretty much. But I actually had that argument with Andy from glitchup.com. How he said on their podcast that they don't really like Dustin. And it's because he makes these bad decisions. He's a 12-year-old.
Yeah,
exactly.
And also, if he doesn't make those stupid decisions, you don't have a story. He and Steve never hook up. Like, they never get together. We don't get that story.
You would just see Demodogs at the ending of the season and be like,
there's no conflict between him and Lucas.
Yeah.
The whole point between him and Lucas is that their little rivalry for trying to get Max's attention just kind of keeps escalating because they both do stupid things.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of necessary.
Yeah, I didn't say I didn't like him. He was frustrating the shit out of me.
Exactly. As a kid, you're going to make mistakes, but also you wanted him, because he's such a nerd, you wanted him to he was more of the underdog in the situation. So you're kind of rooting for him. You're like, it's definitely not going to work out, but just go for it, dog.
He really held a straight face too when the Demodog ate his cat. And his mom was looking for it.
Cat.
Oh my God. Exactly. My mom had a cat and I had a alien Demodog just ripping it apart and eating it in my room. I would not be able to walk outside of my bedroom and keep a straight face and lie straight to my mom's face. There was no way I could do that.
In the street still. I think they heard him on the corner.
That was really good.
Yeah.
I like the way they cut that too with you can hear the dial tone and he's still talking on the phone.
Yeah.
That's some good editing.
That was good.
We talked a little bit about Mike, or I did, I guess. Do you guys have a different opinion about him for this season? Because I fucking hated him.
He had a traumatic experience where he lost this girl he was super crushing on. Thought she was dead forever. It's been a year. Yeah, get over it. But at the same time, he's also a kid, and that's the most traumatic thing ever.
Will was literally taken into another dimension and almost died. And he's less of a little bitch than Mike is this season.
Mike's helping out. Mike has been helping out Will, who's been dealing with this bullshit that he's another dimension nonsense. So he's like kind of...
That's why I love Will, man.
Will was
brain
awesome.
Power. Talk about brain power. Being
mentally
able to
strong.
Withstand all the shit he's gone through in the last 2 seasons. My God.
I just liked what they had. Like everybody wanted him and Elle to like see each other and meet up again, just so Mike would stop being a little bitch. But if Mike wasn't being a little bitch the entire time, you wouldn't have that kind of connection
I think,
in my opinion.
I think he's going to jump back into the leader spot in season 3 because 11 will now be in the picture. He'll kind of take charge again. I feel like he took a backseat this season just because he had so many personal problems because 11 wasn't there and so on. So
it allowed them to add more characters and for other characters to step to the forefront, like with Dustin and Lucas.
And I think that the Duffer Brothers saw how much people liked Dustin and Lucas, so they're like, okay, we're going to give them a bigger role.
Capitalize.
So I don't know. I mean, maybe he'll come back to the forefront, or maybe they'll just be like, well, fuck this kid. Everybody hates him now. You mentioned Will. That's the last of the boys. Noah Schnapp did an amazing job.
Yeah.
Having a seizure and screaming, it was very well done.
Yes.
And it makes me a little bit upset that you didn't see more of him in the first season.
Mm-hmm.
I feel as though he's going to come to the forefront in season 3.
I would agree. How do you feel about Winona Ryder?
Joyce Byers.
Because whenever I think of Will, I automatically think of Joyce because the way I think about it, I'm not too fond of her character because half the time she's just screaming, my son, my boy,
crying, yeah.
Screaming. She just gives me anxiety watching
She did less of that this season, but she was instead more of an annoying helicopter parent.
Yes.
Which is not great.
It's not great, but that is the role that she definitely
it's realistic.
Perfect. Because your son just went to an international or interdimensional portal against Demigorgons. I would be a little bit of a helicopter parent too.
And as far as the writing goes, they do a good job of showing that. Like she's freaking out, looking all over the house.
In the bathroom.
And he's like, I'm just trying to pee, Mom.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So they did a good job of relaying that immediately.
I liked her relationship with Bob too. Just because Bob was the man. We'll get into that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I just liked how she could. It showed that she could let go a little bit with Bob. Bob was kind of helping out.
Even then, she was kind of a bitch to Bob sometimes.
I thought there was a little bit of connection between her and Hopper too. So I think that is now that Bob's.
I don't know if she was being a bitch. Just sometimes during the show, I felt like she just wasn't that into him. Maybe is the way to put it. But I think that's because she was.
How could you not love Bob?
I think she was just distracted with Will and shit going on in her life when it made it seem like that.
That makes sense.
I was like, when I was watching just Bob moments, I was just like, fucking Bob, just like out loud. When I was like sitting there, I'm laying in my bed with my iPad on my chest, just like Bob, fucking Bob.
This is kind of fucked up, but one of the funniest parts for me in the season is when Bob goes on his whole tangent of how he had prior experiences and dreams of this whatever.
Mr. Baldo, the clown.
Yeah, the clown.
Gives the worst advice possible.
Tormenting him. And he's like, the way I got rid of it, just started screaming at it. Go away, go away. And then when Will did that, that does not work. I'm sorry. And then Will drops on the ground, starts seizing out. I'm like, oh, good advice, Bob.
All right, let's wrap the returning characters with Nancy and Jonathan. They had their own little side quest this time around. I didn't really care for it. Does Charlie Booger Sugar Heaton, does he ever sleep? Because he looks like he's never slept a day in his life. He's got the biggest bags under his eyes.
Jonathan Byers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's starting to look like an Adderall pill.
Snorted so many of them that he just looks like it now.
He's turning into a 40 milligram Adderall.
What about Nancy?
I enjoy when she's just leading on Jonathan throughout the whole season, and then she hooks up with him, but she's going to resort back to Steve in season 3.
I think Steve's moving on.
You think so?
Steve's going to find himself a girl.
He has to.
Steve's dope. And then Nancy's going to get jealous.
I think she's going to go away to college and Steve will hang back. Because, she's a nerd. She's going to college.
True.
Her whole thing with Barb's parents and shit, all that felt self-serving to me. Like, she doesn't care about Barb anymore. She just wants that off of her conscience.
Mm-hmm.
And also, that actress cannot play a drunk teenager at all.
Terrible.
That was not good.
That was bad.
She didn't even scream at the top of her lungs for no reason.
The ones talk like the ass when they're drunk. No one talks like that. You're either mid-drunk or you're just totally, fully blacked out and passed out.
Let's talk about the new characters then.
Cool.
Let's start with Mad Max Sinclair, played by a young woman named Sadie Sink. Whatever. I didn't care about this.
Yeah.
She doesn't do much except for doubt everybody, and she's a plot point to get Dustin and Lucas to argue with each other.
I think she will be a main contributor of raising the stakes in season 3. I think something's going to happen to her and raise the stakes, and that's going to be.
You think that's how
she
Billy
might be
gets
the new
involved?
Will.
would Billy have to get involved based off of his?
I think his dad would be like, you have to, yeah.
Exactly, but I'm
figure shit
saying
out.
based off of his relationship with his dad, he would have to get involved if Max was to get into some sort of trouble. But I want Steve to save Billy's ass and then have him be like, I fucking hate this guy, but like he respects him because he has to save him. I want to have that situation. Or I want to have Billy taken over by like some sort of monster thing and just make him the villain.
I think that they'll have to redeem him similar to what they did with Steve.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good point.
I'll tell you what's going to happen. Billy is going to become a homewrecker. Mike's mom is going to leave her husband.
Fuck Mike's mom.
Dude, he is going to bang Mike's mom.
There's going to be a completely side story in Stranger Things 3 where it's just Billy and Mike's mom. They run away together.
Make a softcore porno.
Exactly.
He makes Mike call him dad.
It wouldn't even I wouldn't even feel that bad just because of what a piece of shit Mike's dad is. He's just a lazy piece of shit that you can't even get up to answer the fucking door.
He's just a dad. He's like, I'm just trying to watch this.
He's not a
game.
topper dad, but he's a dad.
He's just a dad. His life is fine.
The guy's worthless.
He gets done with the 9 to 5. He just wants to come home, fart,
sleep on the recliner,
on his ottoman, and
think
that's
about
it.
Yeah, your 12-year-old's like, oh, there's some crazy aliens outside. All right, kid, I'm trying to watch the game here. Like,
all right. Well, let's talk about Billy then. Played by Dacre Montgomery, you might recognize as the Red Power Ranger from the movie that came out earlier this year.
Did not recognize that.
Yeah,
like him even more.
He's got a sweet ass mullet wig, so that's why you don't recognize him.
Yeah,
is it a wig?
Yeah,
really?
Definitely a wig. He had his head shaved when he was a Power Ranger, I believe. He's got a sweet Camaro, sweet hair. Probably gonna fuck Mike's mom.
Classic bully scenes. He just like takes the keg stand. And that's how you do a keg stand, Hawkins.
Yeah.
It was amazing. I don't know.
Shout
most of the time,
right there.
These kind of characters bug me where they're just so one dimensional. And I didn't care about him. It's fine. He's a full on sociopath. Yeah, don't get me wrong.
Once they introduced
the dad
and how he beat the shit out of him for real.
Did you feel bad for him at all?
No.
I didn't feel bad for him, but I understood like, oh, this is why he's such a psycho fuck. But then I wanted him in the end to help out. But I'm happy they took this the different route and just made him kind of more of an asshole.
So that was his dad, right?
Yes.
That wasn't his mom. His dad was with some other lady.
That's Max's mom.
It would have been more fucked up if that was his mom and not that was his stepdad or whatever you'd call it.
Yeah, but I don't think
that to him. But
he wouldn't listen to his stepdad. Then he'd be like, all right, fuck my half sister. Like I don't give a fuck. Yeah. If your dad's gonna be a dick to me, I'd be like, you can go die too.
It was weird though, because generally when a scene like that happens, you feel a little bit bad for that character. I did not get that at all.
I did.
I was just like, fuck this guy.
You just get a little more clarity around why he acts the way he does, but that doesn't mean you have to feel bad for him.
Right. His whole character is smoking cigarettes and drinking beer while he's doing bicep curls and rubbing cologne on his dick and just, I don't know. The best part about him is that everywhere he went, there was sweet ass 80s hair metal playing.
Yeah. She's my cherry pie.
When he rolls up at the first time, that Camaro,
yeah,
and Scorpions Rock You Like a Hurricane starts playing, I'm like, this guy fucks.
Here I am.
This guy fucks.
Moms especially, obviously.
All right, let's talk Bob. Played by Sean Astin. Obviously the most lovable of the new characters.
Rudy.
Just amazing. He's just this huge sad sack dork guy, but somehow landed Joyce Byers. And I don't know. I felt like he was bound from the get-go to save the day and then immediately die afterwards, which is exactly what happened. But
there was a point in the series that I thought he worked for Hawkins' lab.
Erica said the same thing, and I didn't see it. But I mean, it was a good thought.
It was interesting because I would assume like they would want someone to watch over her, and so they coax her to think there's this fake love out there, and he's like very helpful and very like a good father figure. I thought that would have been a good turn to be like, yeah, well, he's actually working for Hawkins, kind of.
I wonder if they did that misdirect intentionally. I wonder if they wanted people to think that. Like, this guy's too nice to be real.
I think the part that I thought about it was when he went over to Winona Ryder's house and they had all those tunnels like drawn on the wall. And he just was like, I don't get... Right before that, I thought he was like working for Hawkins. But then after he solved it, I was like, ooh, Bob. I think that's when I thought he was normal again.
What gave it away for me that he wasn't a bad guy is when he's talking about how his camera got dropped and he doesn't care about the camera. He only cares about what was on the footage. And it was Will being bullied.
Oh, I didn't even get that.
Yeah. So that's kind of when I knew like there's no way he's a bad guy. Otherwise he would have just been like, these fucking kids beat up my camera. How do you feel about his death?
They didn't need to Chekhov's gun his ass. That's right.
Chekhov's non-gun because he leaves his gun behind.
Because he leaves his gun. Don't even tell me he leaves his gun. I know he doesn't know how to use it, but he doesn't need.
And the weird thing about it is everybody has M16s in that facility, and it doesn't do anything. So your little handgun with 12 bullets in it is going to stop a fucking Demigorgon? No, you're fucked either way. But I will say when he got out into the lobby and he just stops and looks at Joyce, I'm like, you run, you fucking idiot. What are you doing? But you knew somebody had to die, right?
Of course.
You gotta, otherwise there just are no stakes at all.
Exactly, but there's no need to foreshadow him leaving the gun in the room. That just was like, all right, Bob, you're gone, peace.
Yeah, just
right when he did that, he just like I thought there was a chance that he could get out before, and then I was like, all right, well, he left the gun, you're dead.
Would you have liked it more if he had the gun and for a moment he's shooting them as they're coming at him and you think there's a slight chance he may get out of there alive, but then just gets overpowered by the Demigorgons?
I wouldn't even care if he like forgot he had the gun on him, but like don't show me that he forgot a gun already making him helpless.
No, I think it would have been better if he had the gun and didn't know how to take the safety off.
I was just going to say that.
Yes.
That would have been actually funny, but then also sad.
Yeah, that would have been a better way to go than be like, oh, well, he forgot his gun. He's probably definitely dead.
Did either of you watch the after show beyond Stranger Things?
Yeah.
No.
So when they talk about shooting Bob's death and they talk about how a writer was visiting set that day, this female writer that was working on the show, and they had her do the stand-in work for the Demigorgon. You know, obviously they CGI'd over afterwards, but she was for hours tackling Sean Astin and like slapping down on him. I fully recommend this after show because you see a lot into the background of the writing and the way the show was made. It's got almost all the characters on it. It's definitely worth watching.
I thought the Bill Nye episode was pointless though.
Yeah, that was kind of weird.
It was get this guy off the show.
Jim Rash, the dean from Community, hosts it, and you can tell he's a huge fan of the show. Yeah, it's worth watching. They're only like 15-minute episodes, and I think there's 6 of them.
Yeah,
so
not bad.
Give it a shot. What do we think about Dr. Sam Owens, played by Paul Reiser from Mad About You?
I wasn't sure about him either. Yeah. He was kind of on the edge.
Instantly thought he was evil in the beginning and he was working for whoever is in charge of that facility. And
I think that was all credit to Paul Reiser as an actor.
Yeah.
Him just flipping back and forth, making you think that he cares, then watching over the screen ominously, rewatching the interviews that he did with Will. I thought that was really well done.
He's trying to figure out what's going on. He's the guy who just like took over a job, and now he's just like he's trying to figure out like the fine line between, all right, this shit's actually crazy, and we got to help these people out and be humans.
And we were predisposed to assume that he would be evil because Dr. Brenner was in season 1.
Yeah,
and he just took over his job. I'm kind of glad that he survived, but also it's really unlikely. Okay, let's talk about the villains. The Demigorgons. Do they just kill shit or do they eat it? Because they just attacked him and then left.
They're like people who don't eat like all the meat off the chicken bones.
I have no idea.
Are they just killing for fun?
Maybe it's just in their DNA.
Maybe they're being controlled by the shadow monster or whatever they're calling it.
The Mind Flayer.
Yeah.
Which is a badass name.
Maybe the Mind Flayer is controlling the Demigorgons, and that's why the Demigorgons completely ripped apart Bob.
That is actually what it is, because the Hive was controlling the Demigorgons, and once it felt it was being threatened was when all the Demigorgons left and came back to try and protect the Hive, I guess.
How did you feel about them as compared to the Demigorgon from last season? Because I felt as though one of these was scarier than the Demigorgon, and there were like 50 of them.
I preferred the Demigorgon.
I didn't think the Demigorgon was fast, though. Like, these things were fast.
But they were like small, and it seemed like the Demigorgon itself was a bigger villain. I don't know.
I think it was bigger and slower, though.
Yeah, but
fast
also
scares me.
Fast things. I feel like I'm just fighting small hyenas. You know, I just like
that will open their faces and bite your head off.
Yeah, I know.
Like if either of them, I get it. If either of them gets a hold of you, you're dead.
Yeah, but
you're not getting out of that, I guess is what I'm saying.
Okay.
I think for the fact that in season 1 we didn't really get a look into what a Demigorgon was, and it was kind of still a mysterious, villainous figure throughout the whole season. But in this season, we actually see the development and how these Demigorgons evolve. that kind of took away from the whole, yes, they're fast, they're scary, but I think the whole mysterious factor of the Demogorgon in season 1 made it a little bit more scarier.
That's what I was trying to say. You just verbalized it way better than
I guess I'm just saying if I'm on the other end of a football field and I've got to sprint to try to get away from one of these, I'd rather
you're screwed.
be the Demogorgon.
But you're also, if you're in a house, if you're in a small cave and you see one mega huge Demogorgon or...
Well, you run either way, but one of them's going to catch you.
Yeah, but I feel like you can kick off a Demodog. You can't... If you get a... Whatever, this is dumb.
Do you think the Demodogs evolve into a Demogorgon?
I have no idea.
Eventually, over time, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, they don't really touch on that. I wonder if there's another form that they take that we're going to see next season.
I would imagine so.
Do you think Will coughed up all 50 of those things?
No.
Just 50 is a rough
I think
number.
one, and it just kind of spread. It just
ended up in Dustin's garbage can.
Natural selection, just cells devolved and then reformed.
None of those words were scientifically correct.
Peace.
In the upside down, what's all that like pollen shit floating around?
I have no idea. Just there for
like
a fact.
Ashy stuff.
I don't know. That's a good question.
Instantly, I thought of aliens, and I'm like, don't breathe it in. Don't breathe it in.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of ties to aliens. You got Paul Reiser.
Yep.
You know, it's Alien, you have one xenomorph. Alien 2, you have more of them. Yeah, it's true. It's a lot of parallels there. What about Murray, the creepy conspiracy guy played by Brett Gelman?
Oh, he was actually funny. I forgot about that guy.
Why doesn't he get more work?
He should.
Do you remember him and the other guys?
Yes.
Christine!
Guess what? Some Arnold Palmies.
Some Arnie Palmies.
Arnie Palmies.
Yeah, he's super creepy, which I assume he was supposed to be. Little weird. You know for sure he was trying to get them to fuck in his basement because he has cameras everywhere.
I was kind of blown away by all those scenes in that episode, especially when he said,
how was the pullout?
Yeah, how was the pullout?
Yeah.
Just like, jeez.
Amazing.
Very weird. Very weird, very
but
creepy.
He is that's like what his character should be, like a creepy conspiracy theorist who believes the craziest things ever.
Yeah. Yeah. I really like
Brett calling it how he sees it.
Yeah.
So they were talking about it in one of the the post-show episodes, how some of it wasn't planned, and you can kind of see Nancy breaking character. Yeah. Especially when he drops the eggs on the table and he's like, oops. You see Nancy just start smirking and almost breaking character.
I love when that happens, actually.
Guy's hilarious, man. He needs to be in more stuff.
He's a funny dude.
What about Callie, number 8?
This was a storyline that I know you said got a lot of traction for most hated thing ever.
Yeah.
When I originally watched it, I was like, yo, what the fuck this place? I don't care about these people at all. I'm so invested in the 7 hours of Hawkins information and Hawkins story. Why put me all the way over here?
Well, they did that to build suspense.
I know.
They did that literally to take you away from.
I wasn't a fan of that.
They actually opened the second season, the first episode, with her and her crew.
Yeah.
I guess up until episode 7, I didn't even think about them again.
I did. I wanted to know what happened. I was like curious about it, but
I mean, like they show you the tattoo, the 8 on her arm, so you know who she is, but I guess she just completely escaped my memory up until that entire episode, that bottle episode. Well, okay, what do you think about the actress who is Linnea Berthelsen? Like, what do you think about her in a character? Just ignoring episode 7.
Yeah, I honestly I didn't care for her enough to even comment on her.
She's basically a murderer.
She has her reasons and she has her own powers, which makes sense why that team went that direction, and shows how 11 can still be like a good person based on what she's gone through, and shows the 2 different routes that you can kind of take as a preteen. Just nothing super memorable about her really lasted with me.
I just didn't like how in the show they were just portraying them as the typical outcast, with
X-Men.
2 of the 5 of them had mohawks and shit, like wearing leather jackets. Like, come on. You couldn't do any better than that.
It was the 80s. They were punks.
I know.
They're one-dimensional characters, but
yeah.
So was Billy.
Yeah, I guess. Kai Green was in there, though.
Yeah, I know. And you just want to jerk that guy off so badly.
No, I don't.
You love him.
It was unexpected, and I enjoyed
You've brought up Kai Green no less than 6 times in conversation with me.
Hey, Kai Green was in that episode. Do you remember?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Tell me more. Kai Green is a bodybuilder.
Okay. I was going to say, who the hell is
he was runner-up in the Olympia for like 4 years in a row.
I'll stop right there. I don't care at all, actually.
Bodybuilder, yeah.
In interest of time, I will not get into my thoughts of episode 7. An article will be published by the time this goes up, probably on glitchup.com, about my defense of it. It's not a masterpiece, but it's definitely not the worst episode of television you've ever seen, so get that shit out of my face. It served a lot for the plot and gave us a lot of development and answered some questions. And we find out that maybe Dr. Brenner's still alive.
I feel like they could have done that, spread it out throughout the last couple
You're
episodes.
going to make me do this, aren't you?
Uh-huh.
One, it doesn't build as much suspense if you do that. You completely are removed from Hawkins for this entire episode.
And you don't want that. Nobody wants that. You're so invested into the characters themselves. You're like, oh, after episode 8, this is going to be crazy. Nothing happened really besides or in Hawkins.
So what should Elle have been doing instead of going to Chicago?
I just think he basically George R.R. Martin'd it and just said, oh, this is going to happen at the same time, but all the good characters are going to be in this portion and all the bad characters are in this.
It's a cliffhanger that you don't have to wait for. Usually on a TV show like Game of Thrones, you have to wait a week or a season. In this case, you just wait 35 minutes.
In some sense, I feel like they actually did need episode 7. You need 11 they need to magnify her character development a little bit more and not just have her stuck inside a small cabin in the woods just by herself. They need to develop her character because we don't get to see her a lot. And she is, she's
the
one of the
biggest
favorites,
star.
if not the favorite.
She's the biggest
character
star
in the
She
whole
is
series.
in this season less than she was in season 1.
Exactly.
Which is weird.
So I think
Well, they did the same thing with Mike, though.
you need something like that.
Yeah, but fuck
building
Mike.
everybody else's
Nobody
characters.
watched season 1 for Mike.
True. I'm just saying they could have broken it down. Like she could have been talking to her mom through the TV at home, and they could have showed that whole timeline, broken it down inside of episodes rather than making it a whole 40-minute thing.
I disagree because I think that detracts. It's jarring to move from Hawkins to Chicago in the middle of an episode to see what Steve and Dustin are doing, then go back to Chicago. It's just a personal opinion, but I get it. If you really want me to go deep into that, you can go check out that article.
There you go.
I'm not going to talk about it here. What was your favorite pairing / storyline? Because pretty much everybody paired off in this, right?
Teamwork makes the dream work. I said mine earlier. Mine was Steve and Dustin.
I think that's the best. It's got to be.
Mine was 11 and Hopper.
It came very organically.
Yeah, that's a credit to Hopper. 11 doesn't really have to say or do much. She
Agreed.
yells every now and then, but it's Hopper kind of acting his way through that and trying to loosen things up. I was worried when they announced him as Hellboy. I am no longer concerned about that because I think he's an awesome
I like he's a good actor.
Yeah.
But the organic thing I was talking about, Steve and Dustin, they just kind of clicked.
Did you feel like they effectively upped the ante, raised the stakes from season 1 to season 2?
I think they did that easily just because, like what Mark said, the mysterious aspect of the first season and only having the one Demigorgon, it gave that suspense, but now having like the big, all-encompassing kind of monster that's taking over the entire town, it definitely raised the stakes.
Did you think anybody else was going to die?
Besides who, Bob?
Yeah. I mean, you get Bob and a bunch of no-name people that die, but who fucking
Maybe
cares?
Steve as he was getting his face pounded in if they didn't stop.
There
the
was
raid,
a moment
but-
where I was like, Steve's ass might be grass.
Dude, Billy fights dirty. If he wouldn't have hit him with that plate, I'm telling you.
I really wanted Steve to have a redeeming moment because he did get just like, that's how you take a charge, Hawkins. Like, he just got physically dominated the entire show.
Yeah, they also mentioned in the after show that apparently Dacre Montgomery had no idea how to play basketball, which is kind of funny. Yeah.
I can tell.
Oh,
the
yeah.
under the legs layup was a little bit much, but
Made that even better.
with the
Because I
mullet
do the
flowing,
I
and
do the
short
under the
shorts.
legs layup. That's my
Shirts
signature.
versus skins, bro.
I actually thought Steve was going to die when they were in the tunnels. At the very end, when after they light the fire, they're trying to get out of the tunnels. They got run past by a herd of demodogs, and I was for sure that Steve was going to sacrifice himself to save Dustin.
Yeah,
But I'm kind of glad they did. I think they will have to kill somebody next season.
Yeah.
For being closest to death, other than Will, I'd have to say you have to bring up Hopper
In the tunnels.
in the tunnels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought he was a goner too. Yeah, for sure.
You can't kill him though. He's so good.
He would have died if Joyce didn't come and save the day,
agree,
though.
but I think
Bob didn't come save
Bob,
the day.
yeah.
Fucking right. Well, actually,
Yep.
everybody. It was a team effort.
I think though, from like a storytelling standpoint, you can't kill Hopper.
Agreed.
Did you know that originally the plan was for them to have Will, the possessed Will, kill Bob, which is super dark.
Yeah.
Can you just imagine a little kid murdering Bob?
Bob's so nice too.
I think that because people love Bob so much, you never would have been able to redeem Will's
Will.
character.
Yeah.
But it also would have made for an interesting narrative of him trying to deal with the fact that Like the blood is on his hands.
Yeah, and would have been even more mopey Will.
Yeah.
So it would have been
More psychologically damaged Will.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't think we really need at this moment.
He's pretty fucked on his own.
What do you think we're going to see next season?
I'll go. So the Upside Down will obviously open somehow. I feel like they need it to.
I think if they do that, it'll be from a character that we haven't met before.
Possibly.
The new villain.
Because I think 11 knows, like, I don't want to do that again.
Maybe another 11 type test subject,
Yes.
not 8.
Yeah.
Maybe 9.
I don't think she has the powers to do that. Maybe number 12. You don't know that it stops at 11?
Yeah. Joyce and Hopper for sure going to form an intimate relationship.
Not as intimate as Billy and Mike's mom.
Oh, yeah. That was actually my next note. Billy is going to run away with Mike's mom. And
I don't think run away with. I think he's
They'll
just
just
bang her, and then there's going to be a sexual
he's the one
tension
that called
throughout.
it feel good. Just in his Camaro. Just banging Mike's mom.
The stupidest thing was watching him do bicep curls smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's so fucking dumb. Brick, what do you think is going to happen next season?
I think 11 is going to have to go out and now that she resolved this issue, she knows there's more out there, so she's going to try and find other test subjects. The fucking Upside Down's going to get fucked up again. They're just be like, oh, I got to go back and save this dumbass little small town Hawkins.
That's 90% pumpkin patches for some reason.
Yeah. Just kill it and get it over with, you know?
Yeah. Well, you see at the end, the Mind Flayer is still there.
Yeah.
They do that little flip over from the high school parking lot to the Upside Down. I don't know what the fuck that means. I don't know if it just means that the Mind Flayer is going to come back and somehow make its way into Earth.
Or they never even close it to begin with, or it's...
But we saw both Hopper and Dustin get jizzed on by those tunnels, right? They both breathed in those spores. And so I think that what we're going to see next season is them possessed.
But they were all down there.
But you see specific scenes where Hopper and Dustin breathe in the spores. So it's really easy to hold somebody down when it's a 12-year-old kid and it's Will Byers who's 90 pounds soaking wet. Hopper is far and away the badass.
Yeah.
How do you stop him?
Yeah, my next question was going to be, who's going to be the character that raises the stakes? Who's going to be the Will? I think I mentioned Mad Max. After you said that, probably not, because obviously Caleb cares about him, or Lucas cares about her, but other than that, I don't think at this point her character has developed enough where it would be that big of a deal if something happened to her. It would just be like, Maybe but if something happened to Hopper, then...
Yeah, well, maybe she also breaks up with Lucas or something like that, and then causes Lucas to kind of be the guy who raises the stakes because he's all butthurt.
Maybe.
I think that you're going to see Hopper and Dustin get sick, and the season's going to center around trying to cure them. Paul Reiser will be back, I think.
We'll try and figure it out. That's pretty good.
Okay, what do you want to see next season?
Somebody other than Will take a psychological beating. You have to feel bad for the kid. Like, come on.
Plus, you saw what a good actor he is.
I want to see Professor X make a move, come in here, and then she gets assigned to the fucking X-Men.
I want to see a twist such as Barb is actually still alive.
Shut up about Barb.
Dude,
Nobody gives a fuck about Barb.
I want Barb to be like Barb the Barbarian, and she's like super Bamf version.
Barb the Demigorgon?
Yeah, no, she's a Bamf demon hunter.
Technically, she was just dragged into the abyss by the Demigorgon. They never actually confirmed. You never saw her and confirmed that she died.
You see her dead body.
Really?
Yeah. She's not breathing. Look, it doesn't matter. They could still bring it back. But how would you know that Demigorgon was Barb? Would it have Barb glasses on?
No.
For the eyes that it doesn't have?
No, Barb is going to be a survivor. And she's going to be like the Summer from the one episode of Rick and Morty where they're in like the wasteland.
Yeah.
She's going to be a barbarian version of it, you know? Barb the Barbarian. It flows off the tongue.
Personally, I want to see 11 be the one that gets taken over like Will did, because that's how you raise the stakes. She's got actual powers, and if she's under control of this monster, who's going to stop the monster? Then I think you got to go find the other people, 1 through 12 or whatever, and you got to figure out...
Who's 12?
I don't know.
Or does 8 get taken over?
I don't think she's not nearly as powerful as 11 is. So I think you got to go with either you'll see 11 get overpowered, or you'll see somebody else that we haven't met yet that gets taken over that also has powers that aren't just making people see spiders.
What if Hopper is 1 and he knows how important it is to to hide his powers. So that was his whole relationship with 11 and teaching her,
Nope,
hey, you
stupid.
can't do this shit. All right, never mind.
I like it.
While that was happening, he was in Vietnam. He wasn't an MK Ultra.
The guy can dream,
Idiot.
can he? Shit.
What else you guys want to talk about?
I feel like we covered most of it.
Obviously, the
What do you wanna
soundtrack and the
talk about?
score are fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
They got a bigger budget this season, obviously. I love the money that they spend on 80s music.
They dominated
Between
it.
the hair metal and Pat Benatar, Dave,
Every Breath You Take was on there. I'm pretty
Police,
sure.
yeah. Cindy Lauper, just
They did a
fucking
good job.
bangers.
How'd you like the snowball scene at the end of the last episode?
I thought it really did a good job of solidifying the characters, kind of where their place is within the group. Dustin's
Who's
still
that
alone.
girl that dances with Will?
Oh yeah. What did
some
you
random
say?
girl.
What did you
She
say?
said, "Do you want to dance, zombie boy?"
Oh yeah, Zombie Boy, hilarious. Best thing. Who would go after that guy? Oh, you're possessed by a demon? Let's get it on the dance floor.
I guess there's some weirdos out there.
This guy's crazy. Actually, I guess you never know. It was a wild side. But I liked how Dustin got double rejected, and then Nancy came over and was being nice.
It broke my heart to see him cry.
Yeah, same.
I felt terrible for him.
So did I.
I would say that Stacy girl that turned down Dustin at the snowball is probably my least favorite character.
She's gonna raise the
series.
stakes.
What a bitch.
She was a
She's
bitch.
just superly overly rude, and
She's the
a
actual
stuck-up
mind flayer.
brat. Yes.
Yeah, that was the
Playing the minds of preteen boys.
super rudest thing ever too. No. All right, you bitch.
So we know we're getting seasons 3 and 4 of this at least. I think they have enough here that they could spin it off. I think you'd probably jump the shark at that point. But also, I don't know, you could probably do more than 4 seasons of this. They have a set plan, a set story they want to follow. They've already said they're going to have to do a time jump
Yeah.
between this season and next, so it won't just be 1 year. It'll probably be 2 because
Yep.
obviously the kids are getting older.
Yep.
It probably has to be still in winter. Like I think it's probably going to release the same time. We probably won't. We'll see it
October.
next year, but it'll be a 2-year jump.
Makes
Yeah,
sense.
they'll make sure to release it around Halloween for sure.
Yeah, it's a very eerie.
That was a great way to do it, by the way, is releasing at Halloween.
Absolutely. But except I didn't want to do anything for Halloween. I just wanted to stay home and watch Stranger Things.
Seriously.
That's what I did. Yeah.
Perfect. All right, let's get into our recommendations for the week.
Get Star Wars Battlefront 2. Shit's crazy. You walk around and be Yoda and be a Jedi. It's amazing.
Nerd.
So much fun. Most fun you can have playing video games in an alternate reality. So that and Assassin's Creed is actually amazing too. They have a really cool photo capping feature that I
Cool, you already talked about Assassin's Creed. Moving on. Mark, what's up?
Okay.
I might be doing this every week, but I'm recommending our website. Our website is coming along smoothly. There is a bunch of content on there that we're putting out. All of our episodes are out there. And we actually just linked up our Amazon store. If you're asking what is our Amazon store, well, it is just basically you go to Amazon, you can shop on Amazon, buy whatever you want to buy. But by clicking our link, you push back some proceeds to us, which we would really appreciate.
and put back into the show and make the show better.
We get like 1% of whatever you purchase. It doesn't raise the price of what you're already buying. All you need to do is go to thechumpcast.com/Amazon and it'll redirect you. It'll look just like an Amazon webpage.
But we'll be watching in the corner.
Except instead of paying
Not like
Amazon
Louis
for
CK,
it,
though.
fuck Jeff Bezos. We need the money more than he does. He's a literal billionaire.
Yeah, if you're buying like 5 4K TVs this Christmas season, just please use our link or go to thechumpcast.com/Amazon.
Nice way to put that up, Mark. That's what I'm talking about.
I don't know if mine is a recommendation to watch or to stay away from. I watched Good Time last night, and we talked about this a little bit when it came out with Robert Pattinson because it was getting a lot of Oscar buzz, and I have no fucking idea why. I don't know if it was so bad that it was almost good. Everyone in this movie is the equivalent of the stupidest person you've ever met, and it's very frustrating. It's just these dirtbags in New York that are wanted by the police either for drugs or they rob a bank or it's just real fucking weird.
I want to check it out now.
If you're in the mood for something super weird with Robert Pattinson in it, sure, knock yourself out. But this was not for me. I bet it does get some Oscar buzz just for the weird production value or maybe the score. The score is very, very reminiscent of Stranger Things. It had that 80s type vibe to it.
Can we get a Stranger Things outro?
Obviously.
Good.
Bitch, I didn't need you to tell me that.
So it's not that good, actually. Don't even watch it. Peace.
I don't know. It's just maybe I didn't like it. I don't know. Next week will be our Justice League episode. Punisher also releases next weekend. So 2 weeks from now, we'll probably be talking about that. And that's all I got. Until next time.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening, guys. Hope you enjoyed the episode and enjoyed our interview with Jimmy from Netflix. I'm sure we will be having him on again as we talk more Netflix series. Thanks for tuning in. Chumps out, motherfucker.
Peace.